Hey everyone, it's day 10 of the 100-day video challenge. As you can see, this is actually quite new for me to come onto camera, number one with no makeup on, and number two, like just come out of the shower. So this is like a little bit of a challenge for myself, just to come on and jump on and not really, have makeup or anything on, and just sit here in my pajamas and chat with you. So here I am, I've done it. So I'm giving myself a little clap. Yay. It's interesting because I wanted to talk to you guys this morning, and what I found recently, because it's a little bit cold here when I go down to the beach, I just sit in the car and might have a hot drink or something with me, and I just sit in the car and just watch the waves. And it's really quite lovely because the car's nice and warm, and just sitting there, I don't actually do that an awful lot. And this morning I just went down there and I was sitting there and I was just watching the waves, and it was really interesting because I went to go and do a video because the moment was really special. And then I went, no, I just want this moment for myself. So literally the whole day is gone and I haven't had a chance to do my video. So that's why you get me in my pajamas after my shower tonight. So while I was there and I was sitting there probably for about half an hour just watching the waves, I watched the waves kind of come up onto the beach and then slowly go out and move again and go out. And as I was sitting there watching the waves come up, I was getting the thought that everything to do with life is movement. And if you have a look around you, everything is actually moving and vibrating. And just watching the waves, and every wave was different and every movement was different. And really, if you think about it, that's the essence of life here, is the fact that we can move in a body and we can all be different and do it differently. So the whole concept about doing it right or wrong, good or bad, it just goes completely out the window when you realize that we're just here to experience movement. And, let's just say, for example, I've got a cup of tea here, I nearly spilt it, but I've got a cup of tea here, like even everything in that's moving, the water's moving, I'm moving as I'm talking to you, the video, when we really look at the little pieces of everything that's going on, everything is vibrating, everything is moving. And really, isn't that the essence of life, is that everything is moving? Which then brings me to the next thing, which is, technically, if everything's moving, doesn't that mean that everything changes? And everything does change. And so technically we are changing every second of every minute, of every hour, of every weekday, whatever, that we're here. And then again, if you think about it, when we are conceived, we're an egg, and the egg still has molecules and things in it. But then what happens is, then when the egg is conceived, it changes, and it changes into 2 cells and 4 cells, and it multiplies and it completely changes. And technically, from the day you're conceived, you are changing. Like, our cells are changing, our skin is changing, our bodies are changing every second of every day. It's rejuvenating, it's renewing. Everything within this little universe that we have inside of us is completely changing. And then everything external to us is changing. There's wind, there's weather, I don't even know where to begin with how everything is changing. And it's continually changing. And that is the essence of life. But if everything naturally is meant to change, and that is our natural state, why as human beings are we resistant to change? So I asked myself that question, and last night we went stargazing. It was really, really exciting to go and learn more about where the stars are and to look at them under telescopes. And I had this conversation with a lady there, a friend of mine, and I was just saying, why are we resistant to change? And of course, when I ask a question, I get the answer, which is fantastic. I love that. And everyone has access to that. So I don't think it's just me that asks a question and receives an answer from from anywhere, and I'll talk a little bit more about that a bit later, but we can literally ask a question and the first thing that pops into your mind is the answer. So the answer I got around that is that why are we so resistant to change when we are naturally, in our natural state, do actually change every second of every day? And the answer that came up was that we've been taught to fear change. And, you know, if you think about it, growing up, we are taught a lot of fear. We are taught about safety and be careful and all that sort of thing. So what we naturally then equate, like I talked yesterday about your subconscious and how it perceives things, what we then perceive things to be is relate change to not being safe or secure. And I mean, I'm not saying everyone, but that's what a lot of people then relate that to. So for me and my family, we are actually quite used to change and we embrace change, and that's really what I wanted to bring our children up to. But every single time we do actually make a change, a lot of people will say, oh, isn't that scary? Isn't that, you know, isn't that something that's really hard to do, or what have you? So when we come back to who we really are, we are naturally meant to change. We are meant to be continually changing. We are meant to be continually growing. And if we don't make changes in our lives, how can we do that? How can we really experience life and what's on offer for us if we don't make changes? But I mean, again, there's no right or wrong. You know, if someone does want to live their whole life with no changes and really embrace the experience of a life, you know, in the one place, and they're very happy, then that's what their life is all about. And that's what I'm saying, like, there's no right or wrong, good or bad. But if you're not happy, maybe look at, do you have a fear of change? And maybe your unhappiness is the fact that your taught or your learnt thought processes around change are not actually who you are in your natural flow and ease of change, and that could be who you are. So look into that and see whether it's the way you've been brought up or the things that you've learnt that has given you this fear of change. And, you know, if maybe travel or something really, like if you're adventurous, naturally adventurous, and you don't then embrace change, then there is a bit of a disconnect there with who you really are. So I would say if you're quite an adventurous type, but you try and keep in a safe environment or a safe life, then that's actually not in alignment with who you are. So maybe incorporate a bit of change into your life. And it can be something as simple as changing a meal or whatever. But as soon as you start incorporating change into your life, you can really start to embrace the fruits of life and get to experience as much as you can. So I do want to quickly go back, because I wasn't meant to talk about change today. Of course, whatever I talk about. But I do want to come back also to what I found has been really helpful for me to really connect to myself, is just to spend this half an hour a day just sitting and having no agenda, having no purpose, other than just to really soak in what's around me and receive whatever information I need about the day or about myself or whatever. I've actually found by doing that, like sitting with myself for half an hour a day, I've actually started to really enjoy being in my own company and really looking forward to that time of being with myself and that in that peace of quiet. It might also be because I have 4 children and whatever, but I still always used to give myself time anyway to do what I wanted to do. But this is new, like this is really good to sit down and to just not have anything to do other than just to sit for half an hour and sit with yourself and just look around you and, you know, receive whatever information you need to know about yourself and about what's going on. It's really a lovely way to start the day. I've found that I go through the day a lot more focused and a lot more positive. But I've also found out a lot more about myself, and I'll talk about this maybe in a couple of other videos, which I really started to connect like much closer with myself as well. So I've really, number one, look forward to the time that I spend, this half an hour that I spend with myself every day. And it's not in meditation, it's actually just sitting there doing nothing with myself and just allowing me to just enjoy that half an hour. But I really started today, I started to connect with parts of myself, with my body, and I started to get messages from myself that I'm trying to make it sound a little bit better than what it is. I have neglected my body probably from when I was born till now. And I had a memory that came up around when I was a teenager, and I was sitting down, and the boy that I was with at the time kind of saw some dimples in my leg. And I remember he goes, "Oh, what's that?" And I was horrified because I knew it was cellulite even at a teenager's years. And, you know, probably for as long as I can remember, I think I was about 5 or 6 when I was at the beach. And I remember a teenage girl said to her friend, "Oh, I used to be fat like that." Now I was like 5 or 6. So I really think that from such an early age, I probably haven't been so nice to my body. And so today I spent a little bit of time with it, and I did a little bit of yoga just at home here. But it was from a different place. It wasn't from a place of I need to do yoga to relax or whatever, or to do yoga because it's good for you. I just did it really to connect with my body and to really stretch some of the areas that were really tight. So I really enjoyed that because I'd become closer to myself anyway by having that half an hour with myself. So to then finish it off by doing I only did probably 10 minutes of the yoga, but it was so lovely to do, and I'm looking forward to doing it tomorrow, just spending half an hour with myself and then seeing what I feel like doing after that. And again, maybe I urge you to do that for yourself. And if you find it hard to spend half an hour with yourself, just start with maybe little 5 minutes or whatever. And if you are having, thoughts, maybe negative thoughts coming up or whatever, just write them down. And maybe if you need some help with them, just pop them below and I can help you out with, how you can deal with those. Because at the end of the day, when you get past all of that, you can really connect to, your soul and yourself, and connect your soul and your body together. It's actually really beautiful. I really enjoyed it. So I do urge you, if you can, maybe do that. It's a really special thing. Just half an hour of just sitting there and being, which is really special. Okay, guys, thanks for joining me, and thanks for listening to my rambling. I hope maybe I'm helping someone out there. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.